Welcome back to Single Scoops. We are your K-Pop Sundaes, and this is part 1 of our December wrap-up.
Life got really crazy this year, so instead of our usually scheduled end-of-year episodes, we decided to break up our favorites and predictions.
For the month of December, you'll be getting a new episode each Sunday, hosted by a different Sunday.
Thank you so much for listening this past year, and we hope to see you in the next. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we hope you have a very happy New Year.
Howdy, I'm OldR, and I'm your host for today's Single Scoop episode. Since season 1, we've had an annual tradition of doing an episode about what releases we like during the year. So here's what I enjoyed in 2025 and what I'm hoping for in 2026. My song of the year is Rewind's Forever. I was introduced to it by other first-gen fans who were raving about how it actually sounds like 90s pop. I was stunned by how much it sounded like it came straight from the US circa 1998. It reminded me of the Backstreet Boys, but also specifically NSYNC's first album. They're a rookie group, so it's pretty easy to go through their discography in under an hour, and I recommend giving it a listen, especially their song Little Too Late. I have a few other favorites from this year that I want to mention. The first is Boa's Crazier. Considering all the absurd hate she got last year, I love the message of it. I was also really into Key's Hunter, which is surprising for me because I'm not usually a fan of his solo work. And finally, I love the K-Pop Demon Hunter soundtrack. Collectively, they were all songs I fell in love with on the first listen, and I immediately had to have them in my library. My favorite non-2025 release is Lee Seung-hwan's As Much as the Love Scattered from 1991. The instrumental and vocals are so soothing, yet it's not boring because it feels like a classic. And that's not just because of its age. When I first heard it, I assumed it was part of a soundtrack for the Korean equivalent of a John Hughes film. To my surprise, nope. It was not what Don't You Forget About Me was to The Breakfast Club. It's just a good song with a great album cover that also looks iconic and like it was meant to be a classic. That doesn't seem right to me, but that's the way it is. Moving on, I want to talk about the music of an artist who passed away this year. When I first got into K-pop in 2003, one of my favorite artists was Wizung. His It's Real album was one of my first 20 K-pop albums, which I only remember because I spent the summer before high school buying albums every month, and his album was in that group. I'm pretty sure the song most international fans remember him for is the Korean version of Craig David's Insomnia, but I associate him with the song With Me because that was how I was introduced to him. The music video for it stood out to me because of its storyline, his beautiful voice, him in the pool with a cane, and his obviously sunburned skin. That album had a lot of good songs, and when I first heard it, I was surprised by the inclusion of a few songs with only English lyrics. Since hearing the news of his passing, I've had that album on repeat pretty often. The song that I've defaulted to when thinking of him is I'm Missing You, because I keep thinking of the lyrics. If you haven't had the chance to listen to Wizung's music before and you're an R&B fan, I highly recommend you give Insomnia, With Me, or I'm Missing You a listen. The second new music category I'm adding to this year's wrap-up is hopefully less depressing. I want to talk about groups and artists that got on my radar this year. The first one I want to talk about is H.O.T. They were a short-lived dance group during first gen. Their most famous song was written by the guy who wrote H.O.T's Candy, and it was rumored he produced the group. But that wasn't true. In my opinion, that song is their worst one, and the song Wishim is way better. Their album cover shows the one girl of the group with pink hair, and one of the guys has blonde hair. But in the music video and stage performances, they don't. I'm pretty sure I know why, but I have so many questions about them, so I want to dive into that someday. The next group is a duo I discovered while doing research on artists from SM Studios for the H.O.T project. I had been told that J&J were one-hit wonders who disappeared shortly after debut. Turns out that was wrong because some of their songs were remade by H.O.T on their first album, and they've been sporadically involved in various music releases over the years. I made a doc and did research on them to the best of my ability, but I feel like I'm missing a huge chunk of their careers. I'm also wondering what's going on with them having different music videos that seem to be from different broadcasters, instead of just one from SM themselves. Like, the one that seems to be from SBS strongly reminds me of DEUX, and they were big SBS guys. So I want to know what's the story there. They also have a version of one of their songs with English lyrics that don't match the Korean version at all. I have so many questions. So shout out to those who called J&J one-hit wonders who didn't go on to do anything else because they couldn't be bothered to look into it further. The final artist that ended up on my radar is the solo artist Nina from 2004. I have had her song Hit 'Em stuck in my head for about 20 years. but I only vaguely remembered the music video and I wasn't positive if she was even singing in Korean, as I first heard it before I knew anything about the language and I only remembered a small part of the chorus. Someone posted a link to the music video on Reddit and I immediately recognized it. Turns out she had only one album and it seemed like the company might have had financial issues. But even so, I'm surprised that was her debut song, as I'd been under the assumption all these years that she was on, her third album. I went on a deep dive to learn about her and put a doc together to keep all of that info in one place, yet I know I'm not even close to being done. Those were the 3 acts that appeared on my radar this year, so it's possible I'll be doing episodes on them in the future. To wrap up my music section, there were 2 non-K-pop songs I was into this year even though they came out a long time ago, and those were Brockhampton's Boogie and the Beastie Boys' Intergalactic. Just as a reminder, I'm in a constant state of being behind the times, usually by at least a decade. Regardless, I enjoyed both of these songs. As for what Korean movies and dramas I was into this year, unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch any dramas, but I did watch K-Pop Demon Hunters. I went into it expecting to hate it, but then I heard DEUX and I immediately chilled out. Moving on, I want to give a quick update on my K-pop collection. Last year, I whined about not being able to get J1's mini album. I really felt like a traitor for saying I'd buy his next release for years, but then didn't due to it being sold out on multiple sites. A listener reached out and found a copy for me, and I'm still grateful to them for that. I did a single scoop on the mini album a few months ago, so if you're interested in that, I'll be leaving a link to it in the description. Moving on, let's get into my predictions. Last year, I claimed that Hyunjin Young was going to make the Avengers of First Gen because I saw him meeting up with so many artists who I didn't think would be related to him. I was wrong, as he just maintained his social circle this year, but he's still shockingly well connected. I have 2 main predictions for 2026. First, I don't think there will be a concert for H.O.T's 30th debut anniversary. Since season 1, I've talked about how much I expect them to reunite, because they've said that's what they want to do. But after seeing their reactions to the festival concert getting delayed, I'm thinking it's unlikely. I think at this point, the only thing standing in their way is themselves. But I think that if they do reunite next year for a concert, it's more likely we'll be getting new music as J1 and Heejun are finally back in the game. My second prediction is that we're going to see more unexpected groups coming back. In recent years, we've seen quite a few surprising groups reunite, and I think that trend will continue. I'm still riding the high of seeing Baby Vox together, but there are still a few others I'd like to see return to the stage. Not just first gen either, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut on who I'm hoping for because I don't want to hear anyone say it's not going to happen. Moving on, I want to talk about my K-pop New Year's resolutions. Last year, I said I wanted to focus on archiving the sources I have. At the time, I wasn't sure about acquiring more physical resources, but I definitely wanted to back up what I had. In a stunning move that is so me, I didn't do that. Instead, I dove into expanding research for the H.O.T project with a focus on their concerts and groups that had some kind of relation to them. I didn't even make that much headway into the book besides finally figuring out the format it'll be released in. Whoops. As annoyed as I am by how long this has taken, it has recontextualized the group for me and corrected a lot of misconceptions I had. So hopefully the end product will be miles better than it was originally. At the very least, it's way more accurate and comprehensive compared to what it originally was, thanks to how much work I've put into it. As for my New Year's resolutions for 2026, I might be going in a bit of a different direction than I had this year. As of right now, my main goal is to focus researching on just J&J and H.O.T's concerts. That's it. I'm not even going to try to pace myself or attempt to back up my resources. If I manage to finish those 2 things, I'll be happy. But I'm also going to be shooting for 2 pieces of merch. First, I'm roping Zedden into helping me acquire J&J's album, as I've had a few leads and I'm hoping to get a physical copy that will help me to explain some things. The other thing I'm hoping to get is Seven's light stick. We mentioned it during our deep dive on him that I was in charge of back in season 2, but since then, I've been thinking a lot about its history and design. I really want one, so I'm going to attempt to get one. Even though H.O.T and Baby Vox are my old groups, I'm very well aware that I have no shot of getting either Lightstick, let alone other merch of them at this time. So I'm hunting for the 2 items that I think I could possibly get a hold of. To wrap up, 2025 had a lot of twists for me, but I'm hoping 2026 is more chill. I'm lowering my expectations so that I hopefully won't be as disappointed in myself when I don't accomplish what I intend to. I hope that y'all have a good rest of 2025 and start to 2026. Remember, this episode is just part 1 of our 2025 wrap-up series, so be sure to tune into the others as well. But that's it for today. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, then please make sure to rate, subscribe, follow, and tell your friends or someone you want to annoy about us. If you want to interact with us or see more of our content, then you can follow the links in the description to our website and social media platforms. More single scoops are coming your way soon. Really soon. Thanks everyone. Annyeong!